or their home. They have a right to be safe. It went on and on.
I think he was a little intimidated by you. He was a little afraid there. That was he was a little out of his league on that show. But if you see him in real life, you could joke around with him. You could have fun with him. You can't even picture doing that with Bloomberg.
So is there another side of this guy, Bloomberg, that you know so well?
Yeah, it's not a good side.
It's not a good side? Well, what do you mean? By the way, I guess Mark's ending his relationship today with Bloomberg. Go ahead. Might as well end it.
He's one of those guys, when he comes to do the show, everybody is instructed they're not allowed to talk to him, don't look at him.
Come on.
No. Oh, he was always like that. Hey, we used to have him at our station.
John Gambling would interview him every once a week, right?
John could talk to him, but there was one guy who was instructed to go get him down at the car and bring him up in a private, closed-off elevator so nobody would be.
Grief.
And even that guy was instructed not to talk to him. And
not to talk to what? He doesn't want to talk to the little people?
No. I've seen
the people? And he wants to be president?
And he also, it's a stupid thing for a politician because you want everybody talking to you. That's where you learn what's on people's minds, what they're concerned about.
Wow. But how do you get to talk to him? And I guess because you're just Mark Simone, right?
Well,
he talks to you.
Listen, it's like when you had lunch with him.
Never talks to me.
It's like when you had lunch with him.
He didn't talk then either. But go ahead.
It's like you're talking to a mummy. It's a struggle. It's not easy. He wouldn't need a life of the party in a coma ward. I mean, he doesn't have a personality.
Sean, the best politicians have a self-deprecating sense of humor. They can laugh at themselves. You know Donald Trump. I do. He can laugh at himself. This apparently is not the truth, possible with Mayor Bloomberg, and that's going to hurt him a lot.
Listen, I agree with both of you on all of this in every way imaginable here. All right, now I'm watching the debate last night. They're all ganging up on him, but they're all radical socialists to one extent or another. Now, I know Bloomberg's trying to portray himself as a little bit more moderate, but that really isn't true either. He was never the Republican that people claimed. I mean, the real story about him running as a Republican was simple. He wanted to avoid what was a crowded Democratic primary and go up against a weak Democrat and say, I'm just going to do what Rudy Giuliani did. And that's why this whole, these comments are so revealing about his thoughts behind. It's not even the policy, but his thoughts behind stop and frisk. And he got called out on that. All right, quick break. Mark Simone, Jeff Lord. At the bottom of the hour, we got a lot coming up here today. We'll check in with David Schoen on the sentencing of Roger Stone. If anything cries out for a new trial and an injustice, it's this case with the jury foreperson tainted, as we now know.
Hello, this is Chris Ryan. I'm an editor at TheRinger.com.
My name is Chuck Klosterman. I am a writer.
And this is Music Exists, a podcast where we talk about how we think about music.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about music that's happening right now. This isn't a podcast about what you need to listen to tomorrow. This has to do with how you think about music when it's not even playing.
Available exclusively on Spotify.
All right, wrapping things up, Jeff Lord and Mark Simone. I'm not sure Bloomberg will get the message that this isn't going to work. Now, nobody's vetted his opinions on guns, the Second Amendment, the nanny state, extreme environmental measures that he would take. How does that play in the rest of the country, Jeffrey Lord?
Yeah, not well. I mean, I can tell you right here in the middle of Pennsylvania, somebody like Michael Bloomberg is going to be anathema. I mean, here he is, and I think in the last 24, 48 hours, talking about getting rid of coal. You want to win Pennsylvania and say you were going to get rid of coal and you're going to get rid of fracking, where about 320,000 jobs in fracking depend on this. Sean, I was just at an event in Perry County, which is rural America here. On Sunday, good Lord, the place was packed for Donald Trump in the middle of the day on a Sunday, a year ahead of the election. I mean, the enthusiasm for the president is intense here. And when you bring in somebody like that who looks down on these people, the whole bit that you've been doing the last several days about Farmer Mike, good Lord.
Let me bring in
this is farming territory.
Let's give the final 25 seconds here to Mark Simone.
Well, the reason you get all those bad comments like the farmer, all that stuff, he's speaking at Oxford. He's speaking at the far-left elitist Aspen Institute. Reagan learned this stuff speaking at state fairs, at NASCAR. Clinton learned it speaking at 7-Elevens in Arkansas. Bloomberg has never been exposed to any of these people.
Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. All right. Thank you, guys. 800-941-SEAN. Mark Simone, Jeffrey Lord is our number. When we come back, 40 months sentencing Roger Stone, but this case screams for a new trial, now knowing that the jury foreperson had a strong prejudice against Stone and had spoken out prior to the case. That and more as we continue.
Right way isn't always easy. Wild Turkey Bourbon knows something about that. I'm Matthew McConaughey, and I'm here to shine a light on the unwavering conviction of some trailblazers, innovators, and groundbreakers. So let's take a seat, take a sip. Let's talk turkey.
Here with James Comey. His new book, A Higher Loyalty, is out today. This is his first live interview since the book's been released, and thank you for coming back.
Folks, of all the people to be fired by Donald Trump, my guest tonight is definitely one of them. His new book is A Higher Loyalty, Truth, Lies, and Leadership. Please welcome former FBI Director James Comey. My first guest tonight is the former Deputy Director of the FBI who was fired after launching investigations into President Trump's ties to Russia. His new book is The Threat. Please welcome former Deputy Director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe.
Let's bring in James Baker, former general counsel for the FBI.
Let me bring in now on set John Brennan. He served as CIA director under President Obama and acting director of the National Counterterrorism Center under President George W. Bush. He is now an MSNBC senior national security and intelligence analyst.
Let's bring in former Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, now CNN contributor. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Joining us now is James Clapper. He served as the director of national intelligence for 7 years under President Obama and is now a CNN national security analyst. Director Clapper, it is so good to have you here.
FBI agents descended on Paul Manafort's Alexandria, Virginia apartment in an unannounced pre-dawn raid.
The president's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, just sentenced to 47 months. That is 1 month shy of 4 years for running a global scheme.
Judge has sentenced former Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos to 14 days in prison. Papadopoulos was convicted of lying to the FBI about his contacts with Russians. Prosecutors wanted to sentence him 6 months.
Paul Manafort, guilty, convicted on 8 counts.
Exclusive footage you're looking at right now from CNN as the FBI arrives at Roger Stone's residence in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, taking him into custody.
Tonight, Roger Stone is a convicted felon. A jury found him guilty on all 7 counts, including witness tampering and making false statements to Congress.
All right, there you have it. When are we going to prosecute, let's see, Comey and Clinton and McCabe? Oh, yeah, lacking candor. That would be lying. I mean, the double standard. Now, I do think and I do believe that the Attorney General and John Durham are going to get to the bottom of all of it. I do believe that. We have no choice but to believe that. But if this, I mean, you look at this, Stone convicted on 5 counts of false statements, 40 months in jail for that, 1 obstruction of an official proceeding, 1 count of witness tampering, and even the witness that was supposedly tampered with said, oh, don't put him in jail over this. It was Roger being Roger. You know, he's a bit of a blowhard, but this is ridiculous. If ever a case screamed out that we need a new trial, this would be it. I mean, I'm listening to the judge in the case. Mr. Stone lied. Okay, what about McCabe lied? What about Comey's lies? What about all the other lies? Hillary Clinton's lies, and so many others. Anyway, so it's, you know, she said is he injected himself smack into a political controversy and was not being persecuted. Well, I'm not sure exactly this is equal justice under the law. Now, why does this case call out for a new trial? For a lot of different reasons. We now know that the jury foreperson in this case, the woman that is the former president of the Memphis City Council School Board of Commissioners, unsuccessful Democratic candidate for Congress, has now identified herself as the forewoman of the jury in the Facebook post. Pains me to now see that the DOJ would now interfere with the hard work of the prosecutors. 9 years? 9 years for lying? Well, the average stay in jail, median time in jail, if you're guilty of rape, is 4.2 years. I mean, that's how you want to talk about disparate sentencing, harsh sentencing. But here's what we've learned. We learned that the jury foreperson, now that she disclosed herself publicly, has now posted, we found out, we've gone back and looked at some of her past posts, And she posted specifically, it's been reported everywhere, about the Stone case before she was ever selected to sit on the jury, retweeting an argument mocking those who considered Stone's dramatic arrest in a pre-dawn raid by a federal tactical team. By the way, 29 tactical agents. He doesn't have a gun. All they had to do is say to Stone's lawyer, can you please report at 8 a.m. at this location? Otherwise, we will come and get you. There's no need for that. And, CNN cameras showed up at the arrest. They had frogmen in the back of his home for lying. That's what this is. Anyway, in January of 2019, the jury foreperson in this particular case, her name is out there, Tamika Hart is her name, retweeting a post by a pundit who noted Roger Stone has y'all talking about reviewing the use of force guidelines before suggesting that racism was the reason for all the attention Stone's arrest had received from conservatives. She's commenting on a case. Did she tell the court that she had done this ahead of time? Now, she had an unsuccessful run for Congress as a Democrat in 2012. Also quoted someone in an August 2017 tweet referring to Trump as a member of the KKK, so she has a clear political bias. She, in August of 2019, called all Trump supporters all racist. Gotta love it, she wrote in January of 2018 in response to news that a vulgarity had been projected onto the Trump International Hotel in Washington. A week later, she shared an opinion piece entitled, What's So Extremely Uniquely Wrong About Trump's Presidency? But the fact that she, was selected to sit on this jury and then become the foreperson of this jury in this case is it just screams of an injustice. It screams for a new trial. Now, ultimately, I don't, what the president decides to do. He's been pretty outspoken about the double standard here. And the president even, raising the point in a tweet earlier today. They say Roger Stone lied to Congress. Oh, I see. But so did Comey. And he also leaked classified information for which almost everyone other than crooked Hillary Clinton goes to jail for a long time. And so did Andy McCabe, who also lied to the FBI. Fairness? ? David Schoen, civil liberties attorney. And by the way, apparently you have a specific announcement, I guess, on Roger Stone's sentencing. You have talked to Roger Stone, correct?
Sure, and I was at the sentencing today. I sat through the entire thing.
Okay, tell us what went on in the courtroom and why this, I'm sure you agree with me, this screams for this verdict to be thrown out.
No question about it. But let me address a couple of things you said very specifically. One of the things about the juror's tweet to me is 2.5 weeks before the prospective jurors were all called in to fill out questionnaires, she tweeted the rally in Charlottesville and asked, is MAGA, going to condemn this, that sort of thing, clear political message. But she answered a jury questionnaire with questions about that sort of thing 2.5 weeks later. Why wasn't that disclosed? Why wasn't it disclosed in voir dire? Listen, the judge today, which I thought was shocking, made a point to say, this jury served with great integrity, and she said they asked a thoughtful question. She has a juror misconduct issue before her right now. How on earth is she making that kind of comment? But on the double standard, how about this for an irony? There were two.
Well, let me ask you this. If this jury foreperson, in fact, did not disclose this political bias about this particular individual, of which she's going to sit on a jury about, doesn't that should almost be an automatic, new trial being granted, shouldn't it? Should it not? If there's fairness.
It should be, and there are a lot of aspects to it. There's disregarding the instructions, disobeying the instructions, not being candid, deceiving. These are all issues that have to be completely investigated. There's the extraneous influence question. She was posting on social media. Were there responses? Was she interacting? Did she discuss it with other jurors? All of these things. The posts, by the way, are no longer there on Facebook that they're linked to. All of these things have to be recovered. There must be a full investigation. There should be jury interviews in this case. But what I wanted to tell you is, you talked about the double standard. There were two prosecutors at the table today. One of them, Mr. Cooney, is the lawyer who just wrote to Mr. McCabe that he won't be prosecuted. The double standard is just incredible. And specifically what the judge said, which is what you alluded to, she told Mr. Stone he wasn't prosecuted just for trying to be a political activist and support the president. He was prosecuted for covering up for the president, she said. She said Roger Stone inserted himself in a pressing issue of the day. Did Assange have emails on Hillary Clinton, so-called opposition research? What are we talking about? What we know is Democratic DNC funded opposition research. False opposition research led to the FISA warrant. All of this stuff. Talk about double standards.
Tell us the process, though. How do you get this out of this particular judge's courtroom?